Hi crafters, and welcome to Creative Moments by G. I'm G, and today's card is a triple sidestep card. You are going to love this. We all know about the steppers that go to the side of a card. This is a little different, and we are so happy to bring it to you today. So let's head down to the crafting table and let me show you what this looks like. This is a triple side step. Normally our steps run horizontal, but in this one, they run vertical. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it is so much fun to put together. Now I will tell you we have 6 different score lines we need to add, and we have 2 cuts that we make on our base card. Not to worry, I'm going to take you through each step. And I want to remind you that all our measurements will be over on our website, creativemomentsbyg.com. All you have to do is click on blog and click on triple side step card. So let's get busy. Okay, the first thing you'll need to do is cut your base card. And it is a normal base card. It is 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to take a sheet of cardstock. We already have our 8.5 right here on the short side. So we're going to turn it and we're going to cut it at 5.5. And I am going to use Cherry Cobbler as my base card. So 5.5. And now we have to make some cuts. So we want to make sure and leave it right here on the short side. And let me show you how we are going to do this. I'm going to get in a little bit closer. And I'm going to bring my cutting blade up to the top. And I'm going to measure my paper out to 1 3/4, just like that. Now, on Stampin' Up's trimmer, we have a ruler right here that we can see our measurements. And if you don't have that, well, you can just put little tick marks with your ruler because you're going to have all the measurements listed over on our website, creativemomentsbyg.com. So for this, move it to 1 3/4. Now, hold this guide up just a little bit, and you're going to bring the cutting blade down to 3.5. And while we do these measurements, I'm going to bring in some additional light so that I can see this side. So we have our cutting blade right here on 3.5. That's where we're going to start cutting. I'm going to drop the guide and we're going to cut down to 6 3/4. So we're going to cut down to right there. So let's just cut that to 6 3/4, and then we're going to lift. Then we're going to move our paper over to 3.5. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to cut a little bit longer line. So let's bring this back up, our cutting blade, and we're going to move it to 2 3/4. Okay, so we have it at 2 3/4, and I'm just going to cut down to 6 3/4, just like we did before. And we are going to take our paper and we're going to rotate it clockwise. And the way you know that it's the right way is we have our cut line, our short line at the top. So here we have it long ways in our trimmer, and we have the short cut line on top. So the first thing we're going to do is we are just taking it to 1 3/4. Now move this cutting blade out of the way because we only cut 2 lines. And we're going to score from 1 3/4 all the way to the bottom of the page. So go ahead and get that at 1 3/4. Score all the way down, just like that. Now we're going to move over to 2.5. And we are going to score between these 2 cut lines. So go ahead and put your scoring blade right between those 2 cut lines and just give a good score line. Next, you're going to move it over to 3 1/4, and we're going to score from the second cut line to the bottom. So this bottom line, that's our second cut line. We're going to score from that line to the bottom of the page. Now we are moving our paper over to 4 1/4. And we are going to score from the top of the paper down to this very first cut line and stop. Just give it a good score. Open up your guide again. Keep moving. We're going to move it to 5 inches. And we're going to score once again between these two cut lines. So let's just move this right between the two cut lines and give it a score. And our final score line, and then we're done with scoring, we are going to move this over to 5 3/4. And we are going to score from the second score line all the way to the bottom of the page. And now we have all our score lines. You can put your trimmer aside. Now all we need to do is fold it. Now the way I'm holding this is this larger piece right here. I'm just going to crease these little folds right here, these little score lines right here. Now this one, and once you start to fold this, it all just very naturally wants to do what it's supposed to do. This goes up, these go down, these lines right here, and then it just folds together, just like this. So once you have it down, go ahead and give everything a really good crease. And don't stop at the top. We want to go ahead and score right here at the bottom too. And look at this. There we have it. That's how easy it is. You have 2 cut lines and you have 6 score lines and you're done. And now all we need to do is put it together. Now I will tell you, make sure that you stay with us because I have 2 other cards to show you that I know you're going to love. So the first thing we want to do is cut our strips for these 2 areas right here. And I have selected this beautiful paper. Look at this. Oh, so pretty. And that is going to be 1 1/2. So I'm just going to cut a 1 1/2 strip. And it's really not directional, so I don't have to worry about that, by 2 1/4. So we need 2 of these. So let's go ahead and cut them, 2 1/8. There we have them. So I'm going to put those to the side. And now we need a larger one for this area right here. So let's go ahead and get that cut. And that is going to be 1 5/8 by 2 1/8. So let's cut that 1 5/8. We know here's 2, 4, 5. It's 1/8 past the half. So we have that cut. Now we're going to turn it and we're going to cut it at 2 1/8. Now we have our 3 sizes. Now I need to go ahead and cut our first mat. And our first mat for those areas, that is going to be 1 1/2. I need 2 of these. 1 1/2 by 2 1/4. I cut one more, 2 1/4. It's going to go on this. And then for the larger one, I'm going to need 1 3/4 by 2. So I'm just going to put this in here at 2 1/4. Just cut it from the bottom. And now we can lay down our mats. This is really a quick card. Once you get the hang of it and you know exactly where to place the cuts, and then you come in and very methodically do your score lines, you will have no problem with this. So let's bring in our silicone mat and lay down our mat. Now I want to remind you, just enjoy this video, because after you watch it, you can head on over to our website on our blog and pick up all the measurements that you need to recreate this beautiful card. We'll also have the supplies listed for you. So look at that. Now let's just flatten this and add them right here. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. I love the other stepper, that where the steps are horizontal, but I love this one. I have been looking for this template for a long time, and I just love this design. Now, the next thing we want to do is lay our mat down right here. And we are going to, let me see. We are going to cut the piece that goes on this and then run it through an embossing folder. So the size that you need for this one is 1.5 by 5 1/4. So here's our cherry cobbler. We're just going to cut 1.5 by 5 1/4. And we are going to add this right to the front. But to give it added texture, because this is Technique Tuesday, we are going to run it through the folder. Now, we have had many techniques already, right? I have tried to simplify exactly how to make these cut lines and how to make the score lines. And so now, to add texture to the front of this card, I think it's always a good idea to add some embossing on it. So let me run this through the embossing folder. I selected Wintry 3D. Look at this. It has the Christmas ferns on it. So when you open it up, it is so beautiful. Look at that. Look at those beautiful ferns. Oh, they're so pretty. So let's just add this to the front of our card. Now, because this is 3D, you want to make sure and add enough glue to really get in the crevices. Look at that. Okay. Now, we also need to cut a white piece for the inside. This is where they can write their message. You could also cover the back if you wanted, but I think covering the front is plenty. So let's go ahead and get that cut. And that is going to be 2.5 by 5 1/4. So let's cut our long piece at 5 1/4. And 2.5. And we are going to add that right here. Okay, we still need to add some images, right, to really make it pop, and a sentiment. So what I've done is I have stamped this beautiful leaf. Now this leaf comes from Joy of Noel. And we're going to color this leaf, and then we're also going to use the Noel for our sentiment. So let's bring in some paper. Let's bring in some blends. I have all kinds of blends. These will be listed in our supplies. And let's go ahead and get these colored. Now I'm going to just color the cherries red, and it's cherry cobbler, dark cherry cobbler. Okay. And I'm going to bring in Old Olive. I'm going to add a little bit of dark right here to the veins. And then I'm going to bring in my Old Olive again. And then I'm going to use my pecan pie just to highlight these little branches right here. Just kind of go over them in pecan pie. Okay. Now, I already have one cut out, and I actually colored two, and I cut one apart because I want to add them right here to the front of this card like this. And then I stamped our Noel, look at that, using our cherry cobbler. I'm going to set that up right here on dimensionals. Okay, I'm just going to take the backing off. And I'm going to set this right here in the corner, giving it a little bit of a border right here on the side and right down at the bottom. So it's going to be right here. And that helps me place my beautiful arrangement. So I'm thinking of that one there, and maybe this one about right like that. So I'm going to set these up on dimensionals as well, because I think setting things up really adds to the interest of the card. Just going to very lightly set this one up because I may need to move it. And then I'm going to have this one hang over just a little bit. And look at this beautiful card. Now remember, this is called a triple side step card. Instead of these steps running horizontal, they run up and down. Look at how it sits up on your desk, just like this. You have room to write your message, and it is just perfect. Now remember, I said I had two other cards to show you. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one here so you can see it. Now look at this card. Here we have a season's greeting, and we use the punch to go ahead and punch some snowflakes out, and we added that piece to the front of the card. Look at that. How cute is that? And then we embossed this right here on the sides of Season's Greetings, added our rhinestones. Open it up. You have a place for your sentiment. Okay, and finally, are you ready for this one? Look at this masterpiece. Oh. Maudie, my sister, made this. Oh my goodness, I just fell in love with it. It is so beautiful. Look at the shading on our little bird. So pretty. Look at that one. Look at that. Open it up. You have plenty of room to write. These are so much fun to create. What do you think? Take a moment and let us know which is your favorite. Now, I want to go ahead and share a tip with you on fixing the envelope, but take a moment. Which is your favorite? I just think this is so much fun to create. Let me move these to the side. Let me bring in my envelope, and I am just going to put some glue right here on the top of my envelope. I'm going to add this right like this. Just going to turn it over and just cut around the envelope. So we just need to cut just a little bit right here. And to make it easier, you certainly could have cut a small piece to put on here and not use that whole big piece, but that's what I had, so that's what I did. And look at that. Now, how pretty is that? We have a matching set. Now you can send this out for your holiday greetings and you are set. What fun, right? Well, I hope you enjoyed this card as much as I did. This triple side step card is so much fun to create, and really it's very easy once you have those measurements. So if this video inspired you to go out and just be creative, we sure would appreciate a like, a share, and a subscribe. Maudie and I want you to go out and make it a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.